We have a special guest on This Expat Life today. And she's special because she was actually one of the first guests on the podcast. And she kickstarted This Expat Life probably without her knowing this. I'm talking about Celine Charlotte. Celine is a multiple seven-figure entrepreneur from the Netherlands who's also lived a very global life. And last time that I interviewed her, this was the whole reason actually why I started with This Expat Life. Because I've been thinking about hosting a podcast already for months, but I've been postponing it until one day when I would have more time, more inspiration, more headspace to actually do this. And then I saw a message from her on Instagram asking if she could come on to podcasts that were in English with at least 1,000 listeners per episode. Well, at the time I had no podcast, so no 1,000 listeners, but I still pitched my idea and I was very honest about where I was at. And to my surprise, she said yes. And then I realized, now I actually have to create the podcast. And so within a month, I came up with the whole idea. I created some solo episodes. I invited other guests and I also interviewed Celine Charlotte. So note to self and to you as well. Start saying yes to these things and follow your spontaneous ideas because they might lead you to something wonderful. Because now we have thousands of people that listen to the show. We're creating a beautiful community. And personally, I always also really enjoy doing it. So the reason why I asked her to come back, because in that episode, she was a single girl living in Sedona, Arizona, the US. Now she's back in Amsterdam as a solo mom by choice of two beautiful daughters. And she also made a stop in between. And so I wanted to speak to her about what has changed for her with all these big developments that happened in her life. And this is what we're doing inside this interview. We are talking about the differences between the Netherlands and the US, about returning home after years abroad, about motherhood and the cultural differences in motherhood, and also what is next for her. I really enjoyed talking to her, and I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. Let me know what you thought of it. You will find our contact details in the show notes. Enjoy. Hi, welcome to This Expat Life. My name is Amanda Maxine, and as a certified coach, I help high-achieving expats find more fulfillment and happiness in their global lives. Because while life abroad is often amazing, it is not only rainbows and butterflies, as all experienced expats know. In This Expat Life, I open up space for all facets of life abroad and what you can do to thrive in it. And to support you in your personal, professional, and geographic life transitions, I share tips, tell relatable stories, and connect with fellow expats. Whether you've just moved abroad or you are a seasoned expat, This Expat Life is your place to find real understanding and to grow from the inside out. Enjoy the show. Hey Charlotte, welcome back on the show.
Thanks so much for inviting me again.
Last time we spoke, I think it was 2023. You were actually the reason why I started This Expat Life at that time. It was early 2023. You were living in Sedona, Arizona, in the US. I believe you were not yet pregnant at the time. Maybe you were, but I'm not
Maybe
quite...
I were, but I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I actually remember. No, I wasn't pregnant yet.
Yeah. Now you are back in the Netherlands and you have two kids. So
Yes.
Can you take us through, for those who aren't following you on Instagram, what has changed in your life?
So I decided to become a single mom. So I made embryos with the donor. I got pregnant. And the first thought was that I would just deliver and raise the babies in America. But as soon as I got pregnant, I immediately started craving all these Dutch treats from my own childhood.
Yeah.
And I think I stayed in America for a year. But I think halfway I started realizing that I just really missed giving my child the childhood that I had in a way in the Netherlands. And, you know, the politics in America, the situation there, the situation that I was also a single mom raising my children without my family. I just decided to go home as soon as I became pregnant from my second child.
And you made a stop in New York, right?
I did.
Yeah.
So when I got pregnant, I was living in a very small town in the desert. So that's what Sedona is. And I moved there just, you know, I wasn't planning on becoming pregnant and becoming a single mom. But as soon as I did get pregnant, I just got really sick with the pregnancy. So I had to throw up like 10 times a day and I was just there all by myself. So I decided it would be better to move to a bigger city so I would have more help and basically just Uber Eats. I wanted to be able to to call in the middle of the night and that somebody would bring me food and stuff.
Yeah.
So I moved to New York also because it was a dream of mine to always, well, I always wanted to live in New York. And
Hmm.
I thought, well, I'm becoming a mom now. I'm getting a family. I don't know when the opportunity to move to New York will be there in my life again because at the time I had the right visa to stay in
Hmm.
America. So I thought, well, why not just move there while pregnant and raise my child
Why
first here
not?
in America?
That's not a small thing you did. I think it's pretty big, but so cool. I would love to speak to you more, and we'll do that later in this interview about like your choice to become a solo mom while living abroad. But let's
Hmm.
start maybe with the present. So now you're back in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, now with
Yes.
two kids. You got a
Yes.
second daughter with the same donor, I believe.
Yes.
What has surprised you about being back in the Netherlands after spending so many years in the US?
Oh man, I'm surprised how much I love it. I
Mm.
as soon as I well, my first time traveling abroad was when I was 16, and I knew immediately, okay, I'm gonna live abroad. Like when I'm older, when I have the money, I'm gonna be an expat or live abroad. And I traveled a lot. I spent a lot of time in Asia. I spent a lot of time in America. And for me, going to America was always my big dream. So I
Yeah.
always knew and I always told everyone who I was dating, like, okay, well, I'm gonna live in America eventually.
Yeah.
So if you're dating me, you have to move with me to America. And so when I finally did, it was such a joy to be in America and to finally live out that dream. And at the same time, I noticed that the dream just faded away a little bit when I
Mm.
started to have children. And then coming back to the Netherlands, all the things that I didn't really love about the Netherlands actually became the things that I now love about the Netherlands
Yeah.
because, it is so small. I have such a small life now, just having, two kids by myself. Most of my days just evolve around the kids and going to the park and bicycling on the street. It's just, the Netherlands is a very safe and easy country. I'm
Yeah.
raised here, of course, so I understand everyone's, maybe it's, well, we just have the same cultural background, so it's just
Yeah.
easier than being an expat in a way.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think the level of difficulty of already being a single mom and then also having to do everything by myself and in a different country with a different language and a different everything,
Yeah.
it was a little bit too much for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, now being in Netherlands, I actually love the weather here too. The Netherlands is
Ooh.
really rainy. I know.
Yeah.
There's something about just being cozy inside with, a fireplace on and the rain outside. Yeah, I love being here.
And do you think you would have loved it the same way if you weren't a solo mom?
No, I do think that if I would have a partner and it would be easier for me to travel, I probably would travel a little bit more. I just actually arrived. I went away. My oldest daughter is now 2 years and my youngest is 4 months. And I start to miss travel already a little bit again.
Mm, yeah.
So this weekend I went to Drenthe. That's like a northern part of the Netherlands. It's only 3 hours or 2 hours of a drive, but with small children it's three because you have to stop and
Yeah.
feed them and stuff. But I went away by myself for the first time to try to experience how it is to, yeah, have a little holiday.
Hmm.
Um, and it went pretty well. It was pretty exhausting the first day, but after that, it went pretty well. And now I'm extremely optimistic that I can travel with two kids by myself, hopefully. So I plan some longer holidays, like I want to go to Bali again and all
Oh,
of that.
nice.
So I'm planning that for later in the year. But yeah, if I would have a partner, I think I would have done that a little bit sooner or maybe a little bit more often.
Yeah, I understand that. And do you think like you're experiencing being back home differently because you are a mother now? Like you're in such a new phase of your life. Does that change your relationship to the place, whether that's New York, Sedona, or your home country again?
Well, one of the things that stood out for me the most about motherhood in a different country as an expat is just the sadness that my children won't have the same childhood in a way. So
Mm,
they don't have the same snacks. And I remember, so I had a lot of single mom friends in New York,
yeah.
and they were all raving about all the small things that they experienced in their childhood, like going to Santa Claus in the mall and all this, like the the American traditions
Mm-hmm.
that they got to do again with their children. And in the meantime, I was like, well, I can't really do the traditions like that
Yeah.
I'm used to do. And in America, the children are raised very different, I think, than in the Netherlands. I think we have a very independent way of raising children here.
Yeah.
And in America, they're a little bit more panicked about everything. And I just noticed that I was, yeah, I missed giving them the childhood that I had. So I think I forgot your question. What was the question?
If your relationship to the Netherlands or another place perhaps has changed now that you are a mother, so
Oh
you're in a
yeah.
different phase of your life yourself as well.
Yeah. So totally. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that going back and doing all these small things that for me are, we call it gezellig or cozy, I think is the
Yeah.
best way to explain that word. And have all the traditions here that I used to do. Yeah, that makes me value the Netherlands more than I did before. Yeah.
And do you feel at home here now?
I do, definitely. Yeah. And I moved to Amsterdam. So I did when I came back, I thought first, well, I can live basically anywhere. The Netherlands is so small. I can, live in a smaller
Oh
or
yeah,
more
I remember
quiet
that
part.
search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked for houses all over. And then I returned back to Amsterdam because that's the one thing though. I'm just happy to live in a city that's still a little bit international.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't go out too much out of the house because I'm just really housebound. But a few moments that I do, I'm, in the middle, like people speak English here also, and it feels that I'm still a little bit in a more international community.
Yeah, I understand that. So there's this thing called reverse culture shock when you've
Mm.
lived abroad and then you move back and all of a sudden you didn't expect this, but you're like, why is everyone so weird? Like, why don't I understand the people? And like, why am I different? Did you experience any reverse culture shock moving back to the Netherlands?
Well, let me think about this. The thing that stands out for me the most is how unfriendly and direct Dutch people can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Being used to Americans who are extremely extrovert and are very easy to talk to. And, when I would I go to a lot of kids clubs with my children, like singing lessons or dance lessons and stuff like that. And in America, I would always strike up a conversation really quick and,
Yeah.
they would invite you over and it's very easy to make friends.
Yeah.
And in the Netherlands, it feels like everyone has their own friends already
Yeah.
and people are just not talking to each other.
Yeah.
I finally, like, I put my daughter on soccer. And finally, after 8 weeks, I have my first conversation with the other parents because it's just
Wow.
very, I don't know, everyone is more to themselves. And I actually recognize that because I'm like that too. And I'm an introvert
Yeah.
too. So I'm used to that, but I unlearned it in a way
Yeah.
in America. And I got used to, complimenting people on the street and all of
Yeah.
that. And then coming back here, it's just a little bit like a cold shower sometimes, how people
Yes.
can behave. But yeah, that's yeah, I think that's the biggest one. I'm
Yeah.
not completely in shock because there's always, you know, yeah, I always went back sometimes too. So it's not that I lived abroad for like more than
And
10 years or something.
yeah, and you also worked with a lot of Dutch people, right? Because most
I
of
did.
your courses are bought by Dutch and Belgian people, I
Right.
guess. So,
Yeah.
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 Okay. Something I'm really curious about. So, I don't have kids yet. I think I want to have kids. I'm not entirely sure yet. One thing that has put me off a little bit, or quite a
Hmm.
bit, is the Dutch version of motherhood. And where what I've been seeing in my surroundings, where it's
Yeah.
usually the woman who starts to work a little bit less, there's a lot of critique. I think it feels more like a box you have to fit in. At least that's my experience as an outsider.
Yeah.
I would love to hear how you are experiencing motherhood in the Netherlands versus in the US that go a bit beyond like the differences you already mentioned.
I actually have a very positive image
Oh,
of Dutch
okay.
moms.
Yeah.
I feel the moms in the Netherlands are way more relaxed than the moms in America. So,
Hmm.
for instance, if my child has a cold, I will never go to a doctor here because it just,
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah.
small cold, it's fine. In America, all my friends would have gone to the doctor immediately. Like there's more of a panicked state, I feel, of
Yeah.
parenthood and of children and of like, the responsibilities around it than in the Netherlands. The moms are here just bicycling with their kids in bakfietsen, as we call it, like the bikes with the big
I don't even know how to call them. Like the sort
Yeah,
of
I don't
cargo
think there's
bikes
like,
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, it's part bike, it's part
Yeah, cargo.
cargo bike, but you put your children in and you just bike around the city. Stuff like that would not go over well in New York at
Mm,
all. Like people would not like that would be very irresponsible and stuff. So when I was away with the two children on holiday, I would just put the baby on the ground for a sec and then help my oldest daughter to go to the toilet. If somebody would see that in America, they would freak out. And here in
yeah.
the Netherlands, everyone I feel is a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't know the culture of the moms that well for older children because I only
Mm,
have younger children. But so far, I actually kind of like the more relaxed way of parenting that Dutch moms do. What do
yeah.
you like? What are you afraid of? What is the
That's a good question. I think I'm afraid of getting into something I'm not choosing because it feels like, well, this is experience I've been seeing in my family friends. The woman usually works a bit less, or if they do work full time, they still have this mental load of everything of the whole family as well. I see a lot of moms being burned out. I live in front of a primary school. Maybe this has colored my vision as well. So I see 70% of the people waiting for the kids are moms, and they're just waiting there at 3 p.m. usually.
yeah?
And so I'm like, wow,
You're
you're
like, why you're not working?
yes, why are you not working or doing something else with your day?
Where's
I'm
your
really in my
ambition?
ambition era at the moment. But like I
I
know there are
yeah.
other countries where there's kids go full time to school, they get a warm meal during the day. So at night there's no stress around, oh, the kids still need to have like vegetables and stuff. Or it's normal that the kids go somewhere full time. Whereas here I feel it's more that we call it the mother mafia, where
Hmm.
they are really looking at how you are raising your kids. That's
Yeah.
what I'm hearing as an outsider, and that's what's been putting me off so far.
I think there are always exceptions to that, right? Like I live in a neighborhood where a lot of expats live, for
Hmm.
instance, and I see I see a lot of nannies in the playground. When I'm at the playground
Yeah.
with my daughter, I'm mostly surrounded by nannies. So there's definitely people who still choose a different lifestyle. So you can choose
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, I do think that in different countries, it's also you kind of have to work a little bit more sometimes too, right? Like
It's
for
true.
instance, in New York, most families need the two-person income.
Yeah.
That being said, I think it does feel more normalized in America to still have your ambitions and still
Yeah.
have your career next to motherhood. And maybe I do understand a little bit what you're saying about motherhood in the Netherlands. For me personally, I kind of like because I don't send my children to daycare too because I love being with them. So for
Yeah.
me, it's a deliberate choice to do it this
Yeah.
way. I don't really feel pressured by other moms because you know, I always kind of do what I
Yeah.
want to do. But yeah, I can see what you're coming from a little bit. It's definitely more normal in the Netherlands, more traditional in that way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's fine if that's your choice, right? But like I
right.
feel in the Netherlands, it's sometimes a bit more the box that you're confined to, or sometimes the system doesn't work in your favor, so you have to follow
Right. I do think
regulations.
there must be so many exceptions. Like, I mean, I
Sure.
know
Yeah.
so many wonderful women who are career women or amazing entrepreneurs and put their children in daycare for full days and thriving with that
Yeah.
setup. So I definitely think you can organize it the way you want to.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's speak about your choice of motherhood because did you ever think that you would be a solo mom of two, first in the US and then now in the Netherlands back home?
No, it
Did
never
you
really
ever
came up.
no? Did you
No.
never entertain that option?
No, there was something in my mind that being a single mom would be like a sad choice B. Like
Hmm.
I didn't want that. I always knew that I wanted to freeze my eggs when I would turn 35 and wouldn't have a relationship with the idea of, okay, then when I'm
Yeah.
like 39 or 40 and I am in a solid relationship, then I can use those eggs and, just preserve my fertility. But then I started doing that when I turned 35 and I went to the fertility doctor, and that was actually in the United States.
Yeah.
And I got all the tests, and I took the first steps to get the egg retrieval. And then I listened to a podcast from a single mom who's now a friend of mine. The Single Greatest Choice is a podcast, and it's all stories from single moms by choice who are talking about their life. And I was listening to that in my car. I think I was on my way to the fertility clinic for some test again, and I started realizing being a single mom is pretty badass actually,
It
and it
is.
gives you
Yeah.
so much freedom, and it is such an empowered choice. And then I called my fertility clinic and I asked them, like, can we change course? And instead of just retrieving the eggs, can we make embryos? And
Wow.
yeah, that I'm going. And I wasn't at that moment, I wasn't really planning on becoming a mom so quick. But then
Hmm.
we made the embryos and then they call you up. And in America, they always know the gender from the embryos.
Right.
And the nurse called me and she said, well, so congratulations, you have two girls waiting for you in the freezer. And at that moment, I was just like, oh my God. And then I decided right then and
Yeah.
there, like, okay, let's just do it. Let's just do this now. It
Yeah.
sounds like an amazing life too. And it actually fits me very well being a single mom. I
Mm.
love having the freedom and all the choice and, like a little bit, yeah, that I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
It's kind of great. So I'm enjoying it a lot. But no, it didn't start like this. I was just hoping for a traditional family.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the relationship at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of my listeners and also my clients, they are in their mid 30s. Their relationship just, ended. And then all of a sudden, like they feel, what am I doing here? I'm living abroad. I want a family at some point. I also want to keep my job, but like, what do I do? And so a lot of them start to think, and I actually had those thoughts myself as well. Like maybe I should just move back home because then at least I have a better chance to find a relationship that I want. How was that for you? Was it ever in your mind as well when your relationship didn't work out? Like, oh, maybe I should just go back to the Netherlands?
No, not really, because I don't know. I've lived in so many places where other people around me got amazing relationships and I didn't. So I
Hmm.
just knew it's not like location based. That's
Yeah,
not the
exactly.
reason why I'm not in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because you can find amazing men literally everywhere.
Yes.
It's just, there's something in me and there's something in the way that I approach dating and that I approached that part. I do think, like, looking back at it now, I was just meant to be a single mom because I enjoy
Mm.
and love this so much. But yeah, no, I never really blamed the location or the country for being single.
Yeah.
We waren bij, so I never blamed location.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I wanted to say something.
yeah,
It's not really about blaming the location, but more like, oh, maybe it's just easier if I move back home because it's been a struggle here abroad finding this relationship.
right. No, I really, well, so that's the thing though. Like looking back, I was in a relationship when I was 34, and that relationship
Hmm.
ended with a bang and completely unexpected for me
Yeah.
and pretty traumatic. I do realize now looking back, like, oh my God, if I would have continued in that relationship and would have children with
Yeah.
somebody abroad, I would have so much trouble getting children back to the Netherlands or back to any other country for that
Yeah.
sake. Like if I would have made children in that little village where I lived in the middle of the desert, that would be my life for the next 20 years. So that was a
Yeah.
really big wake up call. Well, I didn't wake myself up, but it was good it exploded.
Yeah.
Because looking back, I do feel that it's a bit of a risk when you're like in your mid 30s and you start
Yeah.
thinking about the family. And then obviously everything has to go a little bit faster. You have to make
Yeah.
children with a partner pretty quick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that that would feel like a risk for me. But it's kind of the same if you're making children with somebody back home, and then after 5 years you split up and you want to travel with the children, and he or she doesn't allow it. So
Yeah.
I do feel that if you're a free spirit person and you love traveling around, actually being a single mom is one of the best choices you
Yeah.
have. Because I'm already thinking I'm definitely not gonna stay for the rest of the youth of the children in the Netherlands. I don't think that's gonna be the case for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have the freedom to go
Yeah.
everywhere I want to go. I don't have to talk with somebody about it
Yeah.
or convince somebody because
Yeah.
that's yeah, co-parenting is just it seems it can be amazing, but for me it seems really hard to do. So I'm very happy that
Yeah.
I would never have that choice.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah, great. Two more questions, quick ones. You once said that you feel more Dutch in the US and more
Yeah,
American in the Netherlands.
yeah.
Now that you are back in the Netherlands for the foreseeable future, like how does that feel now? Do you feel more Dutch now here as well? Or do you still carry that Americanness inside of
I
you?
feel I still carry some American in with me. Yeah. I definitely carry a lot of American with me still. The country changed me in the way that I feel more extroverted and easier. It's easier for me to talk to strangers on the street or stuff
Hmm.
like that. I do feel very at home with the Dutch too. I miss the directness of the Dutch people
Yeah.
abroad. Yeah, I love that. And especially also, well, my work was always in Dutch because all of my clients and my work are in Dutch. But I would have missed that too because Dutch people are very easy to work with in a way because they're so honest and direct.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so one of your daughters was actually born in the US, so she's
Yes.
officially American. The other one was born in the Netherlands, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. You still have some Americanness inside of you, and you just said like, okay, we're probably not going to live their entire childhood in the Netherlands. How are you going to raise them as these, I don't know, international babies?
Well,
How
I'm
do you,
planning.
yeah.
So my daughter is learning English now a little bit. I
Hmm.
wanted to raise them bilingual because with the idea that I can travel easy with them and that they can make friends all over the world. So I'm trying to raise them bilingual so that I can travel around with them easy. And I want to bring Romy, that's my oldest, often to the United States because I
Mm.
do feel, it's, but also for Pip, even though she doesn't have the American passport, she's also half born from obviously a donor
Yeah.
from America. So I
Yeah.
do feel I have like children who are half American.
Yeah.
So
That's very
I wanna
true.
bring
Yeah.
them there and raise them. I just want to raise them as a world citizen more. So
Yeah.
I do see that, or I do think that we will travel around often and live in certain places in the world. And definitely one of them would be the United States.
Yeah, I love that.
No.
Okay, final quick question. For anyone who is in your position that you were in a couple of years ago, what would be the thing you would tell them?
I probably would go to the local fertility clinic and see how much time I've got. Like there's so
Mm.
many, I don't understand why we women don't tell each other this more often
Yeah.
because there's so much uncertainty and fear around oh man, I'm getting older and older. Is
Yeah.
there enough time for children? And they're literally tests for that. They can see how much time or, approximately you probably will have. And taking that first step for me really, catapulted me into single motherhood.
Yeah.
um, because I realized how much that option actually fits me. So it might be that for you, if you're taking just the first step to get tested and see how it all works, that it does feel easier than just like sitting at home and waiting. So I do
Yeah.
feel going to a fertility clinic and get yourself tested just to see how much time you've got would probably lighten a load a little bit already.
Yeah, for sure. And
If you want
rather,
to become a mom, if
yeah. But even if you're not sure, it helps to, rather than working with this like assumption, I don't have time or whatever else assumption,
right.
you actually know your options and it
Yeah.
empowers you. Yeah.
I got I was still like, I had enough time left. And even then, I choose single motherhood. But
Hmm.
there are lots of friends of mine who go there when they're 35 or 36 and they hear, actually, you don't have a lot of time left. You have like
Yeah.
2 years. Well, that makes, your whole
Yeah.
decision making so much different. I don't regret staying in the United States when I was pregnant and for the first year of my daughter's life because it was still a dream of mine that I needed to stop. And it would be I think I would have regretted if I would come back to the Netherlands to get pregnant here because
Yeah.
I was still enjoying my life abroad. So
Yeah.
in a way, I am happy to have started it in the United States and then like really ride out my dream of living in the United States.
Yeah.
And then when it was like literally more than enough and I was like done with living, but my whole dream about living in the United States, I was done at the time that I left there. And I'm
Yeah.
happy that I did it that way because right now I used to watch movies and always think, oh man, I wish I was in New York or I wish I was
Yeah.
born there because I felt so drawn to America.
Yeah. Hmm.
And now I can just like literally my own friends in New York, when I see their stories on Instagram or when I talk to them, I I don't need to be back in New
Yeah.
York. I'm done with that chapter and that
Yeah.
just feels very good. And I do feel it's important for you to really like follow your own heart in that way and
Yes.
only close a chapter when you're really done with it instead
Yeah.
of just, out of fear going back to the Netherlands. You can start being pregnant everywhere in the world if
Yeah.
that's what one of your desires is.
I love this extra advice that you're giving about like wait for your chapter to be really done rather than because fear or something else is pushing you to close
Yeah,
it
and it's
perhaps
not always
earlier.
better too. Like it's actually for instance, for a single mom, it's easier in the United States. You have way more options
Yeah.
in sperm donor and sperm banks, and the IVF it's way more expensive, but it is easier and
Yeah.
more advanced in the United
And
States than
quicker,
it
I
is in the
think, too.
Netherlands. It's way quicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, from the moment I decided, okay, let's make embryos until I was pregnant was 2 months. So
Wow.
it went really, really fast. And in the Netherlands, that would have taken me so much longer.
Yes.
And, their wait list, and it's a very different approach to it. So it's even not even always better in your home country to start doing this.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
true. So the chapter, sorry, in the US is closed. Do you think there will ever be a new chapter in the US?
Oh man, I don't like where the country is heading.
Yeah.
My politics view are very different from what's happening now with Trump. Like I really disliked everything going on there, and how it's such a division between people there. So I felt like escaping that was a
Yeah.
good decision. I still love a lot about the United States, but I don't think that I would live there for a longer period of time anymore.
Yeah.
I it's I see it like a 10% chance. I do. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. It depends a little bit on what my daughters are gonna do. Like if they got
Yeah.
really drawn to the United States and they love being there, I can see myself living there again. I won't
Yeah.
be opposed to it. No, there's so much to love in the United States too. But yeah, maybe some like I've never been to Australia or
Mm-hmm.
South America.
Oh, go to
So
South America.
yeah.
It's my
So
continent.
right, there's so
Yeah.
much more to explore. So I
Yeah.
can I can see myself traveling to other countries first a lot.
Nice. Well, Charlotte, thank you so much for being on the show again. I absolutely loved hearing your update and how you've changed also in your identity and in the countries and everything else. And yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back.